Everyone likes data because when you have more data, you have more freedom. Freedom to do whatever. That's why AT&T is offering you 15 gigabytes for $100 plus $15 for each line. Because the more data you have, the more freedom you can enjoy. Freedom to post more memories, download more fun, and share what matters most with who matters most. 15 gigs of data for $100 plus $15 for each line at AT&T. What more could you want? I sure can't think of anything. AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Come in now and get the all-new LG V10, designed to capture, edit, and share high-quality video.
Pricing is monthly for service on smartphones on AT&T Next. Other pricing options available. Overage monthly and other charges and restrictions apply. See a store for details.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 90 Degree Show, hosted by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. And here's your host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
Good evening and welcome. Happy New Year. Oh, well, we did the Honda. Yes, Happy New Year. Well, good evening and welcome. But I will say Happy New Year, if you will, because it is the recap and thanks for 2015, 2016 here with the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast Network. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you tonight. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for listening. If you've listened at all this year, thank you very much. We appreciate the growing support. But again, this is going to be our time to give you your shine, as they will. All right, it's 5 o'clock on the west side, 8 o'clock on the east coast. It's late. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying a holiday tomorrow. We appreciate all those listening live. Maybe listen in podcast form, whether through iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, our website, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are on the interwebs this evening. If you decide you like the show, and we hope that you do, we appreciate a donation to the network if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship fund, okay? Let me go ahead and bring in my co-host here tonight, the great, the one and only, I've unmuted her microphone, the great Christy Walker. How are you doing? And happy Valentine's Day to you, Christy.
Happy Valentine's Day to you, too. I'm doing
How are
well.
You doing? Great. That's outstanding. Really appreciate you lending your time this evening to be on the show. I knew last week was Super Bowl, and then this week was Valentine's Day, but I wanted to push this out so the people could hear it, and we could close and wrap up the 90 Degree Show for this past season. This will be 16 episodes, Christy.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So 16 episodes, that's like a real scandal season. You know what I'm saying? That's the full season. So we thank you again for listening. Thank you so much. As we have a little bit dying down of the intro music, but I want to give you a round of applause for agreeing to do the show with us this year. Definitely had a lot more listeners with you there, and we thought it was definitely important to have you on commenting or just letting your spirit or just your connect from who you are being a part of this program. So again, we appreciate that, and definitely looking for more business and more ways to develop our community with you in the future. So a shout out to you, Christy. We really appreciate your time this year.
Well, thank you. I really have fun, and this has been a really interesting season. So I'm curious to hear what you think about everything.
Yes. So it definitely will be nonchalant, chill, definitely a conversation. And you are at home listening, you're welcome to call in at 718-664-6025. We pretty much have gone through all of, again, that post-editing is so important in podcasting. So we've gone through the season and all the notes that we had after, that we took each episode, remembering who called in and wanted to, say thank you to those folks, but also a little bit about some of the conversations we had. I wanted to recap some of that with you, just like, they do the year in review. So we have all of that stuff documented and wanted to go through some of that stuff with you. Shout out to Rashad and Block Band Music. It's Valentine's Day, so he said that, he has other obligations, if you will. So thanks him for doing the show as we conclude the 2015-2016 season here on the show. You guys make sure you check us out on YouTube as well. We have that YouTube channel, and check out our apparel store. We're definitely launching that out, and anyone who is interested in running that store, we will start putting that out there. 50% commission. 50% commission, y'all. Because we definitely believe that we start selling stuff, we'll have enough of these scholarships, but enough to reward whoever will take over that venue. So contact us, DM us for details. All right. So let's go ahead and get right into, well, Christy, did you want to have anything in this introductory block? Did you have anything to say before we get started?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like this season we've had a lot of it wasn't like any other season. I mean, I've been covering bands and paying attention to bands for a while, and I just feel like this season has been really unique in plenty ways. So I'm looking forward to talking with you about that, later on.
That's outstanding, because I definitely had a couple of things, rehashing some conversations, but I wanted to get into specifically a little bit more. Well, I guess we got into it. But yeah, we just edging your own, folks. We just edging your own here. So let me go ahead and let's pay the bills, if you will, as I mute her microphone. Let's go ahead and say thank you again, and we'll give another round of applause to our outstanding sponsors. And then shout out to, we'll be saying this later on in my script, but I'm thinking about it now. Shout out to Double Time Entertainment, who came on with us this year to help build that scholarship fund and give those rewards to those students who are going to be on our show this April. Now, I always try to make it around the same week as the NFL draft, but the National Signing Day for marching bands. That's right, National Signing Day. Number 4 for marching bands. That's right. And that will be presented here on this network. We'll have 4 outstanding students tell where they will be going. You can listen to that show. You can Google that show, and it'll pop up. But come check us out and follow us on our blog and on our network to listen to that, and definitely reward some of these young people here going out in the future. So again, shout out to all the people that make that possible: Liquid Effects Photography, The Edge One Productions, Block Band Music and Publishing, bandhead.org, and hbcubands.com, and Double Time Entertainment. Let's take the time to hear from them now.
This is Janice Craig Hartsfield, proud Spelman College alumni, class of 1964, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast.
Having an anniversary party, birthday party, or better yet, you're about to marry that special someone? Liquid Effects Photography is the perfect choice to immortalize all your most special moments. With 10 years of dependable professional service that can deliver from the conventional to the best in cutting-edge technology and creativity. Come experience the uniqueness of Liquid Effects Photography. We serve the entire upper Midwest and will travel further upon request. Come check us out at liquideffects.com. That's LIQUIDEFFEX.com. Or call us at 773-454-5556. That's 773-454-5556.
Double Time Entertainment. Our passion is music and promoting HBCU marching bands
as well as high school marching bands through high-quality movie videos and photos. We have worked with BET, Yamaha, Ludwig, Honda Motor Company, and been featured on CNN and Lifetime Network's series Bama State Style. We also help and orchestrate Battle of the Bands with marketing and promotions, and also became the official media team for the Queen City Battle of the Bands in Charlotte, North Carolina. Join Double Time Entertainment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and now new on Periscope. Music lovers are noteworthy.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Chopping It Up is a podcast of one-on-one interviews with positive role models that have a connection through music and or education. Chopping It Up is all about inspiring our youth for a great future and providing a roadmap on how to get there. We also chop it up to give insight to anyone looking for information or hope in their endeavors. Chop it up with us on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/marchingpodcast. Chopping It Up, changing the world through positive interaction.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on Bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out Bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
Hey, this is Kitty, and you're listening to the Marching Podcast. Hi, this is Nessa. You need to do the Marching Podcast.
We're back. Yeah, it's a little different there. It ain't a band because it's the award show. Because by the time we hit, I thought I was somewhere. I was about to start. I'm getting too excited. We are back with one and only Christy, the Marching Podcast Awards for 2016-2015. Thanks again for listening as I bring Christy back in. So wanted to bounce a couple of things off you here in this first segment. But definitely, you made a post, and it was like, I think maybe a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, you said something about somebody was being the real MVP. And that's like the fun, that's like we've taken that phrase and run with it. So I definitely, I want to give some real MVPs out. And then, I'll edit this later on the show. I just wanted to give out just the basic stuff as far as what we talk about. But I wanted to talk about a little bit just the real MVP I had to, I'm sure you agree with me, was Periscope. What do you think?
Oh, yes. That was definitely the real MVP. I mean, that pretty much changed the game. Live streaming this year as a whole pretty much changed the HBCU band game, and I knew it from the first Battle of the Bands that I went to, the Queen City Battle of Bands, all the way until now. I mean, it's pretty much imperative and to live stream and do live broadcasts. So yeah, Periscope. Also, shout out to live stream. You can do a live stream on your Facebook page. Yeah, so that pretty much changed the game this year.
Okay. I definitely agree with you. Again, if you guys are listening live, you can join our chat room. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, a little off script tonight, but yes, if you have that Blog Talk Radio account and you are listening live, you can log into the chat room, and I will read the comments from there. Another way to communicate with us, see someone in there now. But again, thanks for listening. So yeah, definitely Periscope. So I wanted to give a shout out there to the folks that I saw on Periscope this year, and please forgive me if I am missing somebody, but the great Christy Walker, thanks to you. Yeah, you were not only broadcasting sometimes, but you also would give the suggested joint where it's like, hey, you should check this out, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, so I got a lot of those from you too. So that was great. And shout out to Rod C. I saw a lot of his productions this year. NSBA, National Show Band Association. Shout out to those
guys.
They were good. Yeah, they were good. Really enjoyed, I believe it was Walter, driving in the car listening to band songs. That probably was my favorite. You know what I'm saying? So that was tight. Rose Tal Stone. I'm not sure who she is, but saw her stuff. And Pranks Tal.
Right.
Is that Tau Beta Sigma? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why that's her name.
Yeah. So shout out to them, and then Chevis, shout out to him because like he has his own network basically. But I think I found him on Periscope. Job. Yeah, so it was really good watching him, and then the event where it was not the stadium, but it was the one side. I don't know, MEAC, the East Coast, we got to get rid of the one side of stadiums, man, where the bands be on both sides.
Yeah, I'm over that.
What do you think about
that? That really sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Let me just put that out there.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
yeah.
It just takes away from some of the excitement. I mean, you want to see the band, you want to see the competition that's in front of you. So,
right. So yeah, we will definitely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the two-sided band stadium. It just makes it better for band heads, in my opinion.
Definitely. But it was cool still seeing him run up and down the track. Like, I mean, I thought that was cool. Like, he was like, all right. So I thought that was cool. And then HBCU
he did his thing. He did his thing.
Yeah, and I like the network, so we'll definitely be reaching out to him. Also, too, I mean, we'll be throwing it out there. Our Chopping It Up season will be starting here in this spring, so, we'll be shooting out there about interviews or anyone that you may think that would be good to interview on the show for our Chopping It Up season for 2016. Going in our off season, if you will, contact us and let us know, and we'll definitely, put them out there. All the folks really making that connection. Anything that we're doing, making that positive image of our community, contact us, and we'll definitely make it happen. Also, Ashley Nicole, I think she filmed something. I think she did like the Battle of the Bands, but she's going by Phony Braxton now.
Yeah, I think she did Miles in Central State.
Yeah, that's right, Miles in Central State. So shout out to her. Also shout out to her as well for being on the network, spending the time that she could. So shout out to her. We really appreciate her time. Knew it would be, good to have her on the show. But yeah, it was really, really appreciate her time. Because I know she, was busy with a lot of other things she could be doing. But I still see her on, still be hollering at her. Again, wanted to give her a shout out. It's not easy. I've definitely reached out to hella folks about doing it Kevin Poteet. And I was like, hey, and folks be like, yeah, it'd be sounding good, but like the day before or even other times, it's just not built for everybody. I mean, I know how I was starting. I would get nervous myself before a lot of these broadcasts. So just know that, there is, and I want all the listeners to know, there is a huge network of us band heads doing a lot of things. So I'm trying to highlight as much as us as possible. But again, thank her. And then, like I said, thanks to Christy. It's been 16 weeks. You haven't done it ever, but you've done like 14, which is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, thank you. It's been fun.
So that's great. So again, the real MVP awards, we wanted to put that out there, and like Kevin Durant, the real MVP. And the folks crying, and in the seats. That's what that award is. All right, y'all. Moving right along, Christy Walker. The next one, I wanted to touch base on a couple. I wouldn't say they were social issues, but a couple issues that did happen this year. For one, I'm gonna combine them all together because I guess it's the same. His and hers went to Howard.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was cool, trying to get the exposure there. And it kind of ties in a little bit with this week with Hampton being first HBCU to run lacrosse.
Right, right.
So definitely want to put that out there, the exposure that we're getting. And I know a little bit that tied in. I had a little argue with my high school homeboy about the Bayou Classic. And,
the fact that it changed channels from regular NBC to the NBC Sports, is that what you're talking about?
Right,
okay.
right. So all of that, I guess, I want to kind of talk to you or just kind of bring that back up, the exposure, we were getting. I guess, do you think it's good, or I guess where are the ways that, we should be trying to, I guess, build the exposure? Or how do you feel about some of those issues? Just, I guess, bringing them off the top of your mind.
Okay. Well, the whole Bayou Classic being on, getting taken off of regular NBC, I was bummed about that. I got to be honest. I really like the fact that it would be on national TV, and I even had some of my coworkers coming up to me and talking to me about it. It was a good way to get our name out there. So I was just kind of bummed out because let's just be honest, the regular NBC, the sports NBC is not going to get the viewers, the amount of viewers as the regular NBC. So, and I've followed the Bayou Classic on NBC as long as I can remember. So I feel some kind of way about that. But I do like the fact that the Celebration Bowl was on ABC. And I thought they did a really good job with that. So, I can't only but complain, but only so much because, we still have the Celebration Bowl where HBCU is getting shown. And, I got to give a shout-out to ABC/ESPN for their coverage because I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, they actually went to the campus, they were in Atlanta, I believe. And I guess they actually had the little drum feature there for a second where Alcorn kind of got, they got crunk on a little bit. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say. But yeah. Right. Yeah. And then A&T, North Carolina A&T State University, was the actual team that actually won the Celebration Bowl. Is that correct, Christy?
Yes. Oh, sir, I believe that is very correct.
Okay.
Shout out to the MEAC. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I was just going to school.
Just so I can remind y'all that, you know, the MEAC won again in many aspects. That's all I wanted to say.
Yes. But, you know, just too bad, you know, there wasn't a stand competition, because then, you know, then at least Alcorn would have, they probably would have won that, you know.
You tried it. You tried
yeah,
it. You reach it.
Well, no,
you reach it.
We're splitting hairs. We're talking about little things. But yes, it was outstanding. But yeah, I definitely want to bring it up because, you know, I feel that we kind of are leading the movement, if you will. But and you know, it kind of ties into the news we hear about Bill Cosby this year. You know, it's definitely I wouldn't say a movement, but there's definitely, to me, sometimes a tone in the air to putting a certain stain, if you will, on certain icons or certain beliefs or certain people, you know. And that was huge for me because, you know, my parents, you know, like you talked about our parents, and we had the exposures of HBCUs, but definitely with Bill Cosby and Different World and the Cosby Show, that exposure. And then you remember Martin used to wear the sweatshirts. And then I remember somebody posted Low Down Dirty Shame, and Jada had the Southern University joint on. You remember that?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
So it's like, you know, we are able to bring back those times, if you will. And then tying to, I know Rashad was doing the 100 for Hampton, and I've posted, like, when we give money back to the Boom and stuff like that. I definitely hope that for the folks listening, for the folks that listen to us this year, that, you know, we know that we try to get together and support our schools financially as much as we can, because I think it's important. I definitely think it's important.
But
also,
I mean, the Bayou Classic though, it is missed, and I mean, it's not only, you know, it's not only a way to have HBCUs out there on a national stage, but it's kind of like a Thanksgiving weekend tradition. It's like, you know, all the band heads get together and talk about, you know, what went down and who was better, and, you know, kind of hate watch a little bit and joke and laugh a little bit. But I mean, you know, it's kind of like a tradition that I feel like has been broken. So I'm kind of bummed out about that.
Yes, I am as well. And I cannot forget, I'm glad that you brought that up to mind, so I would not forget her name, Miss Kelly. I can't remember her last name, but LL Cool K, that went off on me on Facebook. It wasn't out. It was in my inbox. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think it was 1 week that you weren't on, but I guess this is a recap show. Miss LL Cool K and Kelly, she's a Delta, so she's the Reds. And
oh Lord, here we go.
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm just bringing it out there.
Okay.
Son, okay, yeah, I don't know how my son got into the room. Broadcasting live right now. Yeah, so it's all good. Love you, son. Yeah, so yeah. Oh, what were we talking about? Oh, yes. So she called in, and then, of course, we were talking about the Bayou Classic. Maybe got a little bit beside myself talking about Grambling, and she didn't like it. So she hit me up, that morning, well, actually that night and that morning, and she was like, you know, let me have it. And so I was like, okay, my bad. And then I let her come on the show. You know, said, you know, not only let her come on the show, I said some Jackson State jokes for her. So, you know, just so it was even, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But she was upset because the tone was, and I clear this up, that, you know, we were like, I guess, janking Grambling and saying like it was like not heralded as the respect that we should have been given the Bayou Classic and Grambling. You know, of course, I called him the little brother. I called him the little brother to Southern, you know, so folks didn't like that, you know, and she was leading the charge. So, you know, I apologized. And then she came on the following week, and then we talked about it.
You shouldn't have to apologize. You shouldn't have to apologize if that's your opinion.
Well,
I mean,
it was
not like
well, there was some things like I can't remember specifics that I didn't know. But, for one, okay, like the doctor. They made a doctor. They made a D and an R, and then the doctor was for, I believe, Eddie Robinson's wife, or actually the president. Somebody died, and I didn't know.
Oh, right. I think it might have been Eddie Robinson's wife, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, maybe so. So it was a DR for her, and then I was like, you know, what that is? What y'all talking about? So she was like, do you know who that was? And I was like, ooh. So I was like, oh. I was like, okay, my bad. But the R was crooked. I mean, I didn't apologize for that part, Chris.
Oh, Grambling, I tell you. Grambling. What can I say?
We love you, we love Grambling. That's what I'm saying. We love Grambling. So
we do?
No, I'm saying we love, because, you know, this HBCU love and recap.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I got HBCU love for Grambling. I really do.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I had to check myself a little bit. But, no, I mean, but real talk, though, it is just, you know, it's the little good HBCU 101 trash talk stuff. You know, we all love each other. But, you know, you got to say stuff that, you know what I'm saying, you know.
Yeah, I know.
So it was really cool to talk to her. I met her, and we got that worked out, ironed out, and everything. So that was cool. But again, just supporting our schools. Another thing that I had wanted to talk to you about was the South Carolina State. Well, South Carolina State was in the news this year too about, you know, possibly going down, but Savannah State and the fire that they had.
Oh, right.
So we gave a donation to the fund. I think the KK Psi and Tau Beta Sigma, the chapter there, started the GoFundMe, and you know, requested help. So if you find that out, you know, we'll retweet that out, get people, you know, to support to that cause. And they sent us an email this week and said, hey, we appreciate what you did. Please give us your name because we'd like to send you something. So I want to bring that up just to give them an applause. We definitely do not give donations to give anything back, even if it's a thank you note. But, you know, we definitely we understand the struggle. So we want to definitely share our dollars with each other. But we really appreciate getting that email. And even whoever is running that, to think to give donations back. That's really commendable. And, well, not give donations back, but to give something to the people who gave. That's really, really outstanding. So kudos to you, and we definitely keep Savannah State in our prayers. Looking forward for you guys to be back there in the fall. I know Otis Jefferson came on and talked to the show about that weekend and what was going on and how the band rose to the occasion and how the pride was still there. So that was another recap from something this year. Have you heard anything about Savannah State, Christy?
Well, no, I haven't heard any updates since that the fire. I mean, I guess they're just trying to maintain. So, you know, I wish them the best. Definitely.
But definitely, again, I will retweet that out and get that out. You know, if we have, once we get big, Christy, and we have, like, you know, me and you could talk, but we got people actually doing stuff in the background, I'd be like, all right, we'll put that thing out there right now. We'll put that out there. We'll beat that. You check that out. And then people would actually be able to do it. So we'll do it after the show, after I make sure my kids are asleep, and I'll do all the stuff. Yeah, that's how I got to do it. That's my system here, Christy. I have to tell you about it.
Okay.
So other things, and we still got more time left in this block. I got a decent little list for us to talk about, Christy.
Okay.
So we were kind of, I guess, the mode here. We're still talking about black colleges, supporting our schools, the things that happen. We could actually go over to predominantly white institutions as well and how we're affected. The University of Missouri had the incident this year where the president was like, you people don't think you can succeed, so get out. Or no, that's not what he said. I'm just playing. Okay.
I was like, don't play about that.
I know, right? But no, he got caught. I'm giving it references. He got caught on the street just probably talking. which I don't know who his advisors were and how you even on the street, brother, but that was bad. And the student, the young man, I believe, started a hunger strike because he was like, somebody was calling him, you know, some racial stuff, and he was upset, and he didn't like how they were handling it. Then it bled over to the football team, and then the football team stood with him and then made national news. And then it was Concerned Student 1950 for the first student got there at University of Missouri. What do you remember? What do you recall about that incident, Christy?
Well, I know that that nothing really happened until the football team basically stood up and said, you know, we're standing behind the young man that did the hunger strike. So, and then actually you got to see some things happen after they took a stand, which is just interesting in a lot of ways because, you know, the president and the powers that be, they didn't want to listen to it until like their money was challenged, and you know, I feel some kind of way about that. But you know, the president ended up resigning, and well, he lost his job, and so you know, the young man who did the hunger strike, you know, he went off strike, and you know, gave thanks to everybody who helped him in his cause, and that was that. So, you know, it's interesting. That's something. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, well, it's funny because I remember because you know we had the incident, we had the show, and then of course people talk about it later. A lot of my friends, I remember talking to them because you know I grew up in St. Louis. There was so much. So many of them were saying like, man, like that was the first thing we heard about when you go to Mizzou. It's like that's all that goes down up there. You in Columbia, Missouri, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, see,
wow,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, man, and it was also too, believe it or not, one of the schools that you had to be careful with when you were dating some of the lighter young ladies. And, you know, you had to be careful where it was like, oh, you know, he was touching me wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? You had to be careful about that. It was a lot of stories of a lot of young men that, you know, facing rape charges, facing a lot of the incident charges with young women mostly. And I say lighter persuasion because a lot of them, they could have been mixed. But more Caucasian women, mostly. That's who we're talking about at University of Missouri. But, yes, definitely it was, I mean, that was something where it was just like, wow, you just didn't do it. But now the recruiting aspect has changed. Missouri's gotten good over the last couple of years, and now they're in the SEC. So that.
Yeah, they've gotten decent.
Oh, man.
They're not
like
that good. They're decent.
Right, that's decent. But, yeah, it definitely changed the landscape now because, like, in Missouri now, when you grow up, you actually can be like, oh, I can play in the SEC for my state. You know, there's a young man, I think, I watched the National Signing Day last year, I believe, from East St. Louis. And that's, like, crazy when a lot of people think about when they know about East St. Louis and what's going on over there. He's making the decision now to go to University of Missouri and now face and deal with a lot of those things that happened this year. So
that's what, you know, because I don't have a frame of reference with Missouri. I've only been to the state one time. So, but I didn't realize that it was like that over there.
Yes, Missouri, definitely. There is a lot of concentration, especially in St. Louis. I mean, we seem to get a lot of, I guess, national recognition for, like, when the police shoot somebody or, like, when we kill somebody. You know, St. Louis was, like, number one in, like, the murder, a lot of the murders for a couple of years back. Or, you know, it definitely has some racial issues going on in St. Louis. And I'm not sure if it's the same in Kansas City because I haven't been to Kansas City like that. But I know that it's enough, you know.
So is your family still there?
Some of them, yes. but my parents
Okay.
are not. Since my parents aren't from Missouri, they met Wash U then. They dipped back out. My mom had to go back to North Carolina. She was just too much in love with North Carolina, and there's so many North Carolina folks like that. I mean, they just be in love with North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So
it's nice.
yeah, it's a wonderful state. So yes, my mother definitely went. She went back, and that's just how it is. And my dad's from Jackson, so he went back down there. So yeah. So
speaking of Jackson, I hope I have a goal this year. My goal is to make it to the Boombox because it's going to be in Jackson this year, and hopefully, God willing, I'm saving up so I can go to the Boombox.
That's actually that would be actually fun. I would like to attend anything, to be honest with you, but it's going to be in Jackson this year.
Yes.
At Memorial Stadium.
You had a chance to attend Honda, but that's another story.
Yeah, I misjudged that one. Yeah, that was
right.
I did. I really got my dates mixed up. That's really the truth, though. For real, no excuses. Like I just messed up, But a couple other things. So we talked about University of Missouri. Was you cool? Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about that or about any of those students?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And then there was a small strike. I'm jumping a little bit back. There was the issue there at Howard. There was a little small strike at Howard that went down this year. The young man, I think, with the housing. Not sure what actually happened with that. But Howard then also
I think they got their demands. I think they ended up getting their demands.
Oh, okay. Hey, if anyone out there knows specifically, or hey, if you are listening with us and definitely want to recap something with us, call us in at 718-664-6025. Had to look at the number. We will accept your calls and talk to you about that. But then Howard also then the band program, and this is how we actually got to meet Bridget. So shout out to Bridget this year. She actually called in now. One of the triple platinum callers, I say. Shout out to her. But she actually called in about the issue with Howard and their band striking. You want to recap that with us, Christy?
Oh, my goodness. I can't remember what she said.
Oh, well, no, not what she said, but the actual issue, like what happened at Howard.
Well, I mean, I guess they felt like they weren't getting their, I can't remember, was it their financial aid issues or something, or
some scholarship money or something?
Yeah, something dealing with their funds. They didn't, the band didn't feel like they were getting what they were promised, and so they ended up striking, and they had this hashtag Silent Showtime to discuss the strike, Silent Showtime, and then I think there was one game where they just were like, the only reason that one performance, basically the only reason why we're performing today is to honor, because I think there was some alumni that was getting honored and was gracious to the band or something, and they were like, the only reason why we're here today is because we're honoring this person, but just understand that we're not going to play another thing until we get our demands. And so I guess these people ended up obliging them.
Yes, because they came back.
The band I didn't hear anything else. Right, I didn't hear anything else about it. So.
Yes. So the band came back. I think Bridget called in and said that, you definitely have to be careful about those things because you put certain administrators or certain people in certain positions, in uncomfortable circumstances, and, that can backfire a lot of times. So she was just saying that, we should all be careful. But then just recapping again, and we will put this on Rashad since he's not here. Remember, he was the one that put on the air. And, of course, I'll give him credit. He was repeating something. But when Howard's band came back, remember Rashad said he heard someone say, is that what they were striking for? You remember?
Wow.
Oh, you don't remember that? Yeah.
No. Yeah, that does get a. Yeah, that was something.
Oh, yeah, I thought you remember. Okay, well, maybe it was, but yeah, Rashad was like, man, it was a lot of people, and someone said, I was like, oh, we laughed, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah,
the
but
shade,
I mean, it did
the
happen.
shade of it all.
I mean, I know. So, Block Band Music and Publishing, not the Marching Podcast. But, you know, that's just how it is. But, you know.
You're going to sell them out like that.
You know, no, he's my boy. Sorry, my boy. Yeah, so, but yeah, I thought it was cool. I'm just glad that, you know, I guess students are saying, hey, let's take the time and let's use the power we have to get what we want, or, you know, let's protest or whatever. I just hope and pray that, you know, we do it, I guess, more statistically, more safely. And then even, too, those students that attend historically black colleges and universities, just sharing your experiences with the students who haven't. That's all we have. I know that I brought up in a couple of episodes towards the end just talking about how black people themselves were turned off going to black schools because hearing other black people say bad things about them. You know, I definitely thought that was huge. That has a lot to do with, again, what you are then going to encounter when you don't go to these, you know, raggedy schools and blah, blah, blah that don't have much. I guess be prepared, but that should be in your recruitment packet. That someone, especially in Columbia, Missouri, you know, they might be flying the Confederate flag on their way to math class. And it's their right to do it. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's good, real-world scenarios, I guess, to deal with him right there on campus. But I guess in your intellectual development at college, it's all good if everyone understands and as everyone is on the same page, if you will. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. But again, thanks again for all the folks that, you know, wrote in or tweeted in something about the issue. And then shout out to all the folks that went to Mizzou, and then all of my friends that, you know, I started a fight with that went to Mizzou. Yeah. I love you, but Jackson State's better. All right, moving on. So I think that was all. We're getting close, I guess, to the first commercial break there. I'm looking at the clock. So, yeah, we did pretty good on the time. Do you have anything that you wanted to recap there in the first segment?
No, let's go. Yeah, no, I'm good. I guess we could go to break now, so, yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and mute your microphone. We will go ahead and listen to the greatest sponsors in the world that allow us to broadcast during these times and give the students their scholarships for National Sign-In Day for Marching Bands. The 90 Degree Show, we're talking the recap and thanks and the awards for 2015-2016. We'll be back. Thanks for listening.
This is Natalie Kennedy Beard, Spelman College alumni, class of 1971. You're listening to the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast Network.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on Bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out Bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
Need to write music and drill? Get it on the field. Outfit your band. Keep your administrator happy and still have a life. Encountering drama in the process, ain't nobody got time for that. Let Block Band Music assist you with musical arrangements and drills to fit your band, and also the equipment, gear, and accessories to keep the visuals music, and marching on point. Contact blockbandmusic@gmail.com and see how this worldwide minority-owned business can uplift your band.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Double Time Entertainment. Our passion is music and promoting HBCU marching bands as well as high school marching bands through high-quality movie videos and photos. We have worked with BET, Yamaha, Ludwig, Honda Motor Company, and been featured on CNN and Lifetime Network's series Bama State Style. We also help and orchestrate Battle of the Bands with marketing and promotions, and also became the official media team for the Queen City Battle of the Bands in Charlotte, North Carolina. Join Double Time Entertainment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and now new on Periscope. Music lovers are noteworthy.
Hello, this is Dr. Joel Beard, Jackson State alumnus, 1966. I march in the Jackson State Marching Band, which is then called the best band in the land. And you are now listening to the 90 Degrees Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
What's going on? We're back. Thanks again for listening. 718-664-6025. Love for you to call in and recap and thanks with us. The great Christy Walker here with us. And we're basically going over all the stuff that we talked about this year, all the stuff that came up that we can remember. And we'll get into our awards. All right? Just teasing you guys a little bit. But we'll give here, reading a little from the episode info. We'll talk about the best fifth quarter, best halftime show, best in the stands, best drill, our best overall band. And you can give all of your awards to 718-664-6025. Give us a call. Thanks again for listening. So I unmute Christy's microphone here as we get into the rest of the show. We basically left off talking about some of the news, or like I guess we said some of the social issues, touching base on it, if you will. But there was one that we didn't leave out, but I kind of wanted to use it as a bridge, and I wanted to see how you would express yourself again. Was the great halftime show between North Carolina A&T and University of North Carolina. So, how did you feel about that? It's just recapping something that happened this year. How did you feel about that performance?
I was very proud of my band. It was a unique situation for me because it was the school where I attended and where I graduated from, and then the school where I currently work at. So, I mean, I knew people that were in the band. I advised the SAI chapter on campus, so a lot of the SAIs were marching the Pride of the ACC, which is Carolina's band. And so, you know, I have personal connections to both sides. So I was very pleased to hear that they were going to perform together, and I mean it was a great show. And I'm glad that it went viral. And I'm glad that my students that I work with at Carolina got to experience that. It was interesting because, like, I have my bio on the department where I work. Like, I have my bio on there, and of course, I mentioned, you know, band being one of my hobbies, and so there was this young man who came into my office. He needed some help with some things, and he signed up for an appointment with me. And then when he came in, he was like, "Oh, I read your bio. I march in the band at Carolina, and we really, really enjoyed playing with A&T. We that was just so much fun." And he even went on to say that he feels like Carolina's band is pretty laid back, and they do. They do have a laid back kind of vibe about them. I mean, there are other PWC bands in the state that are a little bit more
strict.
I guess they're a little bit more. I don't want to say strict because I don't want it to seem like Carolina's band is not strict, but I guess the vibe is just different. And so like Carolina, I know their band has they're just kind of laid back. But anyway, he said, Carolina, we're laid back, and we found ourselves like we just had to kind of tighten up a bit because watching how A&T was, and this is in practice. This is not the actual thing, but in practice, that just made us want to tighten up a bit. And I was to myself, I was kind of cheesing to myself, like, yep. People say black bands ain't disciplined, black schools ain't disciplined, and look at that. Just look at that. So, I was proud of my program. I was proud of Carolina's program, and I hope to see more collaborations like that in the future. I feel like there was a lot of mutual respect between the two programs. So, yeah.
That's outstanding. And I'm glad that you brought up what he said, because I think that was good. Like you said, it was good for that experience. I think our mentality is kill pretty much on Thursday. So we have that tightened up mentality. Well, some bands don't. South Carolina State 1996 against John C. Smith. I'm just throwing that out there. But some bands, they know that. I mean, they know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's like I'm just glad that you said that. I know I talked to Christine Katzman of Halftime Magazine, and it was the same thing. She was like, "Oh yeah, well, at halftime, if the band showed up, we go over there and we say hello and we trade secrets and all that."
She's SAI, by the way. Since you want to shout out the Bros.
Okay. SAI. Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Shout it out. And she was like, "Well, I know it's a little bit different, so that's actually really, really cool that he said that." And I'm glad that the powers that be protected him from actually A&T actually cranking on them, because I would wonder what he would say to you then, like, "Oh my God, like their show is so much better than ours. Like, what should we do?" Then that would have been more serious. Like, so I'm glad that it just got to a point and it was like, hey, we need to tighten up a little bit here without actually getting crunk on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's actually really good.
Mhm.
So I wanted to just throw that out there because it was something that I know how I felt about it. And like you said, like you worked there, and then it's like, even if you didn't work there, you still would want to be somewhat like respectful or be like, we're better than you, but so. But yeah, I just want to throw it out there because it's kind of fun talking about it being like 3,000 miles away. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It's
it's like 10 miles for me. So Carolina's like 10 miles for me. So
right. So. Shout out to that. I already said shout out to Double Time Entertainment. Let me go ahead and give them their little recognition, if you will.
Yeah, they deserve it. They did a really good job this year.
Good job. Go ahead.
They did a good job with periscoping, live streaming. Yeah, shout out to them, and shout out to Barney Smart. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Barney. Again, you guys hearing our interview this year. But shout out to him. Really glad that I was able now to work with him. Didn't get a chance to work with his father, but got a chance now to work with him. So now I'm in a much mature state anyway. So it's better. And it's really, really cool. So you guys will definitely hear about it. I've talked about it a little bit about my experience at Hampton, but we'll tie that in for you. Make sure you check that out. We're chopping it up with Barney Smart. They're coming up this this spring on the 2016 edition of Chopping It Up here on the network. So again, shout out to them, but they signed on board to become a sponsor. So their proceeds help us broadcast during this time, and then we'll be putting that money towards the National Signing Day show for marching bands. Those 4 students will get those scholarships to go off and march in the next year, and Double Time has agreed to help us give those out. So shout out to you, and we really appreciate what you've done, and good to meet you. And again, your dad was mad. He was mad. So yeah, brother. Sorry, brother, but hey, we about to make it right. Another thing I want to throw by you too, Christy. The great John Leonard. So I met John through our interview. He called in and he was like, "Man, I was on the other side of the field in both your stories." So I've always thought that was like one of the greatest things about doing this show, meeting him, and then him actually being.
And you would have met him. You would have met him in person had you have come to the Skybox, but that would have required you to go to the Honda.
But
that's
I'm online though. I sent in my application, and I'm trying to holler at the bros. I'm trying to holler at set some stuff out first, and then I'm trying to see next year I could be Sky-Fi Box, and then
okay. Now you can't yell the Sky-Fi Box unless you crawl.
Oh my bad. My bad.
So it's okay.
Okay.
I'll make
sure
that John Leonard is your dean.
Yes, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down. That's my boy. But shout out to him. I'll definitely be tweeting out. We had an interview with him. We chopped it up with him. He was actually a freelance musician when we chopped it up with him. He's now the head band director now at Tuskegee University. So we give him those props. It happened. I guess it happened in the off season last year.
Yeah.
And that was really cool because I remember he was saying, "Man, I'm ready to start teaching again. I'm ready to get back out there." So it's good that he came back in that fashion. But also too because we did the Stillman and Tuskegee game. Shout out to Stillman. We're definitely praying for you. One of the news came across the wire that they may be closing their football program. And I had no idea, if you actually think deep and extrapolate this one with me, they're in Tuscaloosa. I had no idea Stillman is in Tuscaloosa. And then Alabama is the national champion. So it wasn't a whole lot of Jeremys out there, you know what I'm saying? But then Stillman is like possibly closing the program. That's again why we want to support our schools. Just a little nugget there. But we did that show, and the thing jumped out to me. I was like, "What's that roof? What's that thing? What's covering the band? Why they got that thing over there? What's wrong with Tuskegee, man? Why they, y'all?" And I was like, "Forgive me if I'm being disrespectful, blah, blah, blah." Well, John that week put on my Facebook page the Shed, Fear the Shed.
The Ball and Parlay. Is that what that was?
Man, so that was like fun. So so thank you, John, for schooling me. I had no idea that it goes down like that at Tuskegee football games. Did you know anything about that, Christy?
Yeah, I knew about it because of Tuskegee. I mean, I knew some people that went to Tuskegee, and but when I saw that Ball and Parlay clip, I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to make it out there.
Right. So it kind of ties in even still with, we talked about in the first block about University of Missouri and, his and hers at Howard. That's the black college experience, if you could sum it up essentially.
Yep.
And I know even as Mr. Black College I am, I hadn't seen that myself. So we know we definitely need to get that out to as many of our people as possible so we have more of a weighted decision about our schools. I definitely want to change the rhetoric where at least our own young people are dogging out our own schools and ain't never set foot on Nan campus. You know,
exactly. How about you get a degree first? How about that?
Hook
sorry.
that up.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the dude and the dude at Pat. Well, I might say the dude. Love my man Pat Sanders. He was one of the people. I think his family's from Mississippi, and I think he was telling me on Facebook one time about rats in the dorms and all that like that. And I don't know if Pat.
Where?
Down in Mississippi,
Where?
black schools in Mississippi, having rats in the dorm.
How do you know? How do you know? You know what? Okay, I'm gonna stop.
But again, that's part of the lack of exposure that we have on our own things, you know. So I definitely want to put that out there because that's what we are here to do on this network. We want to definitely change some of those ignorances, if you will. But that Tuskegee clip, that's probably that's step one. You're like, oh, you ain't never been to a black school, man. Check this out. You know what I'm saying? So that would definitely help. And then as far as keeping the theme with directors, this was the first year we had directors actually on the show talking about the show. A mini interview. You actually asked Brother Key a question, so I want to give a shout out to those directors, Carlton Wright, and Brother Warren, Brother Mario Warren. Shout out to you. Shout out to both of you guys. I know that Dr. Davenport, who does the director series, said that Brother Warren was a good student and, spoke very highly of him. So shout out to him. Shout out to Brother Raymond Key as well, the Central State director. And he actually called on the show because we did the Miles Central State battle. And, he talked about the support. Saw him at the Chicago, saw the pictures of them at the Chicago conference. But definitely building those relationships with the directors, I think that'll help the network as well. And then providing avenues for these directors to come out to the West Coast, if you will, and do seminars and businesses and stuff like that. I definitely want to expand that as well. And then while it's on my mind, the shout out to Garrett Edgerson, who's talking about the HBCU Videographers Conference. Of course, they already talking like Atlanta and New Orleans, all that. I say, hey, L.A. That's what I say.
Random.
So, hey, I'm going to try to make it happen. We're going to have some things happen out here. And you know what? We're going to have the fifth quarter podcast, or the fifth quarter award, or fifth quarter banquet, Christy.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's make that happen.
Yes, in L.A. So then now everyone has an excuse to come to L.A. every year, and there's no barrier, if you will, between the West Coast and down south and our schools. We got a pipeline, if you will, going to both. Because, I mean, you need to come out here and check it out, Christy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
I'd love to come to L.A. I mean, I went, last time I was in L.A. was 2014. So I'm due for another trip.
Yes, please do. And if you come out, please holler at me. Just like Brother Shaw at Clark. Met Brother Shaw, supported him as well. He was just out here for the Black College Expo, and he was there really short. I didn't get a chance to see him, but he said that touch base, and it was a long day, but he had a good time. And they went to Roscoe's, so that I know that was one thing.
Yeah.
They had to try, you guys have to try the West Coast imitation of. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good way to describe it too. That's the imitation.
Yes, because it's cool, and it's cool. Like you tag yourself Facebook. You like, oh, I went there, But definitely, and they have an M&M's. There's an M&M's in LA too, But folks just don't eat like that out here. I mean, it just don't. Folks is little out here. Folks are skinny out here, man. They don't eat nothing. Wheatgrass. Wheatgrass is the bomb. That's pretty popular. But, I mean, it's just folks.
So, for real, that's how people be eating out there? For real?
I mean, it's small pockets of people who actually get down and really, really eat. However, Mexican food is kind of popping a little bit. The Mexican stuff. I mean, you might find something. A lot of the food trucks, a lot of stuff. It's kind of off the chain a little bit. So that you can eat, but it's so much of the image out here, man. It's a trip. You'd be surprised. But yeah. So shout out to those directors. I want to again give you guys a special shout out for at least being on the network. Also, shout out to Tim Zachary, Dr. Tim Zachary at Prairie View AM. Shout out to him. I called him. Some of the people in one of the Martin Luther King parades out here for next year wants Prairie View A&M to come out, their drum section to come out and march in the Martin Luther King Day parade. I was able to talk to him this year and touch base with him, and he's actually listened to the show. So shout out to him. We'll be reaching out to him to do the interviews with him as well. So again, shout out to Prairie View, but shout out to all the directors that we talked to this year. So moving along, I wanted to ask you something else, Christy, that we talked about this year. We talked about judging competitions, and we talked about polls. Like, when there's an actual poll, did A&T win the Battle of the Bands? Like, we talked about those. So
which one? You talking about the Celebration Bowl? Is that what you're talking about?
Or just any of them in general, or just like when there's a poll to say who won the Battle of the Bands, or who won the halftime show between so and so and so and so. It's just like a blank poll where people answer. And I know that. Go ahead.
It's one of those things. It's kind of one of those things where if you win it, you can use as bragging point, but if you don't win it, you can be like, "Oh, this ain't legit."
Right. So you think they're valid? You think we should still be using them? You think that, I guess, when you pop on, should you even, I guess, entertain yourself to even be voting on it?
Well, I guess non-band heads, I guess it's important to them. But like me being somebody who's in the subculture, I'm just kind of skeptical of it. But if my school wins something, I'm gonna brag now. But I ain't gonna brag to the band heads. But I brag to just like Joe Public,
Right. Because I know that we had a lot of the polls when we first started. We had the People's Choice Awards, and people would vote in, and and then we read the percentages at the end of the year, and then even still, I mean, this was something that people voted on. Even when I would post the actual results, people would just still dog the results. It's like, well, dog, you could have voted, or people voted, like, what I'm saying? This ain't me, what I'm saying? But yeah, it was just something, I guess it's, like you said, it's something you could use depending on if you want to use it or not. I guess that's used for your school. That's the validity. But I guess it's good to have and good to talk about. I know I saw HBCU sports had a lot of popular themes, had a lot of popular things going on this year with those polls. And that's why I was kind of interested to see, like, the validity of them as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'm only one person. I mean, I have my opinion. That's not to say that they aren't good. It's just not my favorite thing.
Right. No, I hear you. I totally agree. And then judging for competitions. I know that we talked about this a little bit, having, judges, or maybe some of these Battle of the Bands. The thing that brought it up was the Talladega, I think, in Southern Battle of the Bands. I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah, that mess.
Yes, and it was off the chain, So we talked a little bit about having competitions. So you still think that we should start having some like judges at some of these Battle of the Bands, Christy?
I don't mind that. Now, I don't mind that because, like I like DCI, and, I like judge competitions. I think that would be a good addition, just as long as, like, the judges will be experts in the field. I personally don't see anything wrong with that.
Do you still think we should keep the non-judge Battle of the Bands as well?
I think there actually should be a mix. I think that there should be a mix, probably just to make it a little interesting. But hey, I'm all for it. I think it would be very interesting and cause a little bit of a stir in the HBCU band world if they started judging competitions. So, Yeah.
You guys could actually check out. That was actually one of the original archive episodes here on the Marching Podcast Network. I think it was my third or fourth show. I talked about hazing in one, and I talked about should there be, judging at maybe halftime shows, or when we say we have I think Battle of the Bands is better. We should probably keep it open. I had an interview with Tim Hinton and from the Marching Roundtable podcast, and he was saying that he marched DCI and he marched University of Tennessee, and he liked the separation of the two. He liked how DCI was precision and it was the pressure and it was competition, but then he liked being in college where, it was fun and you were kicking it with your friends and it was all about school spirit. So I definitely felt him on that point, but even still, after we talked, I at least think the Battle of the Bands, something could be adjudicated. I know we have plenty of directors that could do it, but I would like to see something. I don't know, or basically say someone actually won something. Now, did the Honda used to do that? Did they used to declare a winner at the Honda?
The only time Honda declared a winner, they had a poll at the end where you could text in your vote, which was kind of like a popular one. They did that one year and they didn't do it since. Maybe because A&T won and there's some haters out there, but again, this is one of those cases of if your school wins, you can brag on it.
Right.
If not, you can say it's BS.
Right.
So my school won, so hey.
So I definitely think
that's the only time. That's the only time they had. That's really the only time they used it to judge.
Yeah, I guess I would like to see more of it. I would just like to see more of a decision and basically hear someone say something and maybe give their opinion about what they heard or what they saw. You know what I mean? And then it would still, I'm sure people would still be upset about it. Like you said, they still use it where if they won, you use it, But at least you have you have a point. You have something to point to. It's not so arbitrary, I guess that sometimes that arbitration, it's for me, I would like to see something be more defined to say win or loss. I think a lot of that comes into play when I think there was a young Gregory Johnson. I know we chopped it up with him. I think he marched at FAM one year playing trombone. He started a petition for a marching band to get recognized as a sport, especially in college. So then, you have a whole difference of revenue or a whole difference of funding that's then put towards the band, maybe for travel or for special events or something. But, maybe something adding that I thought maybe would, help the whole marching band as a sport thing. But anything else to add about that, though, Christy?
No, I think I said pretty much what I want to say.
Okay, that's cool. Moving right along, we talked about the Bayou Classic, and just one more thing before we go to our second commercial break, before we lay down on you and the listener. And again, please call in if you would like to. Our official awards, we'll talk about the best fifth quarter, best halftime show, best in stands, best drill, and then best overall band. We'll talk about those here in our last break before we close out for the night. Again, thanks to Christy, thanks to Rashad, thanks for all the people, Bridget and Barney and all you guys that were in the chat room, and Mario and all the folks that were in the chat room this year. It's been a really, really good season. I'm sure our best season, and looking forward to capitalize on that in the fall when we start the 2016 90 Degree show in the end of August this upcoming fall. All right. So last couple things before this second commercial break. We talked about the Celebration Bowl a little bit. We were excited. Shout out to the Aggies for winning the football game. And they are the actual Celebration Bowl champions, if you will. I think Bridget talked about how, we're, making sure the money is between the schools and between the conferences. we recapped, Christy, and we talked about, I threw out there, what if we had a Celebration Bowl for the two smaller schools? And I think consensus was hopefully the money would be presented well, because it would be hard probably for someone to go to that game. You still feel that way?
Yeah, I know I wouldn't go. I mean, that's just real talk. I mean, I probably would not go.
Or maybe if it was like
basketball. Some more heavy hitter.
Yeah, maybe if it was like basketball or something. Because I know that like Coppin State is not good in football. I don't know if they even have a football team, but they're like a decent basketball.
No, they don't.
So, but they have a good basketball team, right? Kinda.
I mean, they did in the past. I don't know how their record is this year.
Oh, okay, right. So maybe some things. We have the CIAA tournament, which is huge, and you probably won't get the same SWAC tournament. I mean, I guess it depends on the sport. That's the popularity. But I guess, again, goes back to our initial, we all we got, like we said, and we definitely need to.
We all we got.
We all we got.
Oh, sorry.
And, and we need to at least, another thing, you graduate from your university, be a part of your alumni association. Damn it, be a part of it. I know it's not that expensive. Real talk. And those dues are per year. So that's per 12 months. Definitely put some of that money aside that you actually are able to use and pay with your bills and get from your paycheck. Put it aside to give back to your school. 100 for Hampton, whatever it is, we definitely need to start putting the money back into our university. That's very, very important. And the people listening to this podcast, it's on us to actually do that. So we talked about the Celebration Bowl. I want a little bit, before we get into the commercial break, TV and reality shows kind of hit a little bit this year, a little bit, and it got into our band psyches, where now we're mixing it with the Kardashians a little bit. And we had Bama State Style as the one.
Oh,
and I know
man. And I never got to even see the end of that season. Oh, I loved it. But I never even got to see the end of the season because they took it off the air. I was so upset about that. Like, who does that? I mean, yeah. But it was a good show. It was good. I enjoyed it. I hated that it came on so late at night, which is sad. Okay, so, I'm old, so. But anyway, I just, that frustrated me. And I never got to see, like, the last 3 episodes or something like that, so.
Yes. I remember I had it on my DVR. I had it actually scheduled, like, to the top. So, like, it was the main priority, so I wouldn't have no problems or no issues, or it wouldn't tape. And then it's just for, like, weeks where I just didn't see it tape anymore. I'm like, well, what happened? Did I miss something? Or, And then I saw, I think, the press release where they said that they're going to not have it. But I was late getting on where you, Christy, were setting out where you could check it out online. I missed that, man. Like, I missed that whole thing.
And I didn't even get to see the last few episodes, so I want to know what happened to everybody. I was kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah, so it was, hopefully, they can get something. I think it's a good idea. There have been other people that said, hey, reality shows at black schools. I remember that College Hill, I think one year they were at University of Virgin Islands.
They were at Langston. They were at Langston one year. They were at Southern, and I think they were at Virginia State. Yeah.
So hopefully
that was some good watching. That was some good TV watching right there.
Yeah. So hopefully, something like that will come back, will build, the viewers, if you will, just give us some good vibes so people are actually talking about our schools and helping to attend. So that was the last little bit, the Bama State Style. The other thing I didn't see was the Jay Sets thing, and I never watched it. Forgive me for not watching it, but there was another one with there's Jay Sets, or it's some dudes or something, or they dance the dudes dance like Jay Sets or something.
Prancing Elites, yeah.
Yes.
The Prancing Elites Project, yeah.
Have you checked out that show?
Oh, yeah. I watch it all the time.
Is it a good show? Do you like it?
To me. Yeah, I like it. It's entertaining.
Now, are these dudes?
Oh, they're guys. They have male. They're men, and they dress up like J-Sets.
Word.
And they dance.
Is it in Jackson?
No, I think they're actually in Mobile.
Word.
So they're based out of Mobile, Alabama. And
now,
the show just basically shows their different trials, and they want to march in parades, and people will tell them no, and they'll do performances of different kinds of things. I think they had like a Mardi Gras episode where they performed at like one of the balls, and just everything, those kind of things. They even talk about like their personal life. Like one young man, he found out that he had HIV, and all the implications behind that, and so it's a good show. I like it.
That's interesting. I did not know that. And is the show still on? They haven't canceled that show?
No, it's on. In fact, they extended it to an hour. Like, it was a 30-minute show last season, and in this season, it's on Oxygen Network, and this season it's an hour.
Wow, that's a trip. What's funny is I still have not seen anything about this show. I heard about it, but, I haven't seen anything about it. But I watch Haves and Have-Nots, and I never see any commercials for this show when I watch that show. I think that's the only one.
But that's a different channel, though.
That's not Oxygen. That's not OWN.
No, that's OWN. OWN and Oxygen are two different channels.
Oh, okay. My bad.
That's okay.
Yeah, but that's a trip. So I guess it must be more popular if they keeping it rolling. Maybe they can get Bama State Style with Oprah Network. I mean, maybe
I know.
So that would be the bomb. Well, let me put you on mute. Thanks for schooling us on the show, because I knew I didn't know anything about it. But just talk about reality shows and just touching base on things we talked about this year. Let me mute the microphone again, and we'll go ahead and get to our beloved sponsors and the last break, and we'll be back here with what you all have been waiting for, our actual awards for best fifth quarter, halftime, the stands, the best drill, and then best overall band. And then, hey, if there's a best dancing band, we'll talk about that too. So again, thanks for listening to the 2016 Recap Thanks Award Show. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with our final segment.
Hello, this is Dr. Joel Beard, Jackson State alumnus, 1966. I marched in the Jackson State Marching Band, which was then called the best band in the land. And you are now listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
Hey, this is your girl, Casey Nesbitt, 2000 graduate of Jackson State University, Crab of 1996 of the Sonic Boom of the South, 2002 graduate of North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University, Aggie Pride, also a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Fall 1997 Delta Pi Chapter, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
Double Time Entertainment. Our passion is music and promoting HBCU marching bands as well as high school marching bands through high-quality movie videos and photos. We have worked with BET, Yamaha, Ludwig, Honda Motor Company, and been featured on CNN and Lifetime Network's series Bama State Style. We also help and orchestrate Battle of the Bands with marketing and promotions, and also became the official media team for the Queen City Battle of the Bands in Charlotte, North Carolina. Join Double Time Entertainment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and now new on Periscope. Music lovers are noteworthy.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is the social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on Bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out Bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
This is Warren Shaw, Chief Arranger and the voice of McClarkenland University, Mighty Marching Panthers. You are listening to the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast Network.
Back with our last segment here with the 2016 Marching Podcast Awards. Thanks for listening tonight. Recapping this year, it has been a fun year. Again, shout out to all the folks that called in, all the folks that were in the chat room, and again, shout out to Christy and Rashad and Ashley Nicole that sacrificed their time, especially you folks on the East Coast where it's actually really, really late. Now we're 3 hours behind where it's just 6. It's still light outside a little bit over here on the West Coast, but it's been dark over there since we've been broadcasting for you guys. So again, we really appreciate you folks out there on the East Coast that listen to us every week. So getting here into our last segment, I wanted to give out the specific band awards. I know we were talking a lot about situations and a lot of the events that happened this year, but just wanted to recap things that happened. So want to just ask you a couple things. I guess we can get it out. And then after we give our awards, if there's anything that you want to let the world know, Christy, or anything that you think that would be best for our craft in the future, I'll let you have your segment before we close out for the night. Again, you can call in yourself at 718-664-6025. Give your awards, things that happened to you this year, things that you remember. But definitely go ahead and express yourself or leave your comment there in the chat room, and I'll read it there as well. All right? So I'll go ahead and give it to you, Christy, while I turn Erica off here in the background. We have here some of the awards for our 2015 season. So I want to ask you, what, to you, in your opinion, was the best fifth quarter of the season, or one that or a couple, if you have more than one, that came into your mind as far as the 2015 season?
Oh my gosh, you give me a drum roll entry and everything.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was excited because I had it, I had it saved, so I hadn't used it in a while.
Oh, okay, cool. So as far as fifth quarters go, that's interesting because I don't know. I mean, I thought that this year was a good year for zero quarters. Like, for example, the Jackson State and Southern zero quarter I thought was good. They didn't have much of a fifth, but they had a zero quarter, so I want to acknowledge them. And I also liked, who was it? It was Alabama State and, oh gosh, I can see the stadium. It was Alabama State and somebody. It might have been Jackson State too. Anyway, another
it Miles?
good one was
Miles against Alabama State.
Yeah, Miles and Alabama State. I enjoyed that one too. So I think those are the ones that are pretty much up there. And maybe you can jog some of my memory because I mean I don't want this to sound bad, but I feel like a lot of these competitions are a blur. Like a lot of these fifths that I watch, I watch them, I listen to them, I'll critique a little bit, and then they all start to run together after a little bit. So, yeah. So jog my memory. I remember Tennessee State having a good, I think it was Tennessee State versus Alcorn, maybe.
Okay.
That's when I started to notice that Tennessee State was having a really good year. It might not have been against Alcorn, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, were there any that kind of stuck out to you as being strong?
Yeah, the two that jumped out. So the first thing I say, I agree with you as far as a lot of them being a blur because they happen so fast. And then basically, like the one guy, and I've actually started doing it this year, like if you get a piece of paper and you start, or put on your phone, you start saying, oh, this round 1, round 2, you maybe start saying, oh, and then you look back at your notes, oh, this band won. Again, something where I was like, okay, some type of battle of the bands or competition or something. So yeah, a lot of those are blur, but the ones that like jump out to me are the ones like that I remember or I put a note next to. So the two I had Miles and Bama State too, just because of all the contention around it. You remember a lot of people were dogging Miles after that game.
Right.
Someone actually emailed the show. And I can't, excuse me for forgetting the name, but they emailed the show talking about their experience, and they didn't like how Miles was acting, and blah blah blah. And I think one band wouldn't let the other band play. I remember it was crazy. So, those things. Yeah. So that thing jumps out to me, and plus I like Miles because, Miles is new. I like Brother Snipes and Brother Knowles. So, they're new on the scene, but then people like to dog them too. This guy that wrote into the show was saying like, oh, Miles has no class, and, they don't have this and that and this and that. So that definitely jumped out at me. But then the Alcorn and Prairie View game where they were in the in the rain.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah. So that was memorable to me. And then, of course, they were in the rain, so the Woodwinds couldn't play. So they were down, and Prairie View, their Woodwinds looked like, they were having a lot more fun than Alcorn was, you know what I mean? So those two things pop out to me. So, yes, I think we definitely agree. I think the Miles Alabama State one kind of was popped out. But, again, if anyone else, wants to call in and say those things that they remember or even an experience you had this year, call us in and let us know. I think we're on the same page with that one. So I have to ask you this because you actually put me on this next award, and that is for the best halftime show. Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do best in the stands first. What band do you think was best in the stands this year?
wow, I got to think about that, because the thing is that I know you're probably asking for me to name a band like as a collective unit. I know that there were some songs that stood out for me for certain bands. I mean, Southern, they've always been strong in the stands.
Every
You
year,
you never want to sleep on Southern. I mean, even on your best day, you never want to sleep on Southern. So, I mean, I'll always give it to them. Let's see who else. I thought Tennessee State had some good songs in the stands. I mean, I never really thought of them as being a stands band, but I thought they had an exceptionally good year. And I mean, those are the two that are popping in my head off the top. But it's really hard to. It's more for me. I have certain songs that I liked bands that certain songs that I liked that bands played this year, rather than like a collective unit of who did best in the fifth.
So what are one of those songs? What's like one of the songs then? Because I pretty much agree. I think it's hard to say that this band was the best, because like Alcorn was really, really strong in the stands this year. But then of course you put that, you say Southern, they're always consistent with the stands. But what songs I think popped out at you this year?
Well, you know me, I kind of like the ones that are out of the box that you would not think an HBCU band would play it, and they do well. So, I got to give a shout-out to Southern, the fact they played Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle. That was one of my favorites this year. I mean, I played that over and over again. And I also liked Alcorn State. They played Taylor Swift. They played Bad Blood. And, I'm always one of those that's like, even when Southern was playing like Spice Girls and stuff back in the day, I've always been a fan of HBCU bands that don't play your traditional R&B. Even though I love the R&B, I love the R&B and hip hop, but I like it to be a little different. Let's see, I really like Tennessee State's version of Gin and Juice. Now I got like mixed remarks on that, because people were like, it was just them playing it. It wasn't exciting. It was just them playing the chorus.
Right.
But I mean, it cranked to me.
it was still exciting.
So,
right.
Yeah, it was good to me. So I like that too. Trying to think of any ballads. Bethune-Cookman, I'm meh on them as a band right now. I'm just really meh on them as a band. But I mean, you can't never mess with Bethune and a ballad. They pretty much got that on lock. So yeah, those are any ballad that Cookman plays is gonna be on point, in my opinion. So that's what's sticking out to me. So like the Gin and Juice, I liked it when Jackson played that Foxy Brown song. I liked it when he played. And one other song I really, really liked from Southern, and I might just play that after we sign off. But I really like that. If I Ruled the World, oh man, that's probably one of my top ones of the year. Oh yeah.
That's actually
the Nas
good.
and Lauryn Hill.
Right. You reminded me of that one. I forgot about that one. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like what you did there. I like what you did there, what they did. So as far as like to piggyback, as far as like the Gin and Juice, I think last year or 2 years ago, I think Livingstone had like this, I think it was a neck version, but they had Dre Day, and they had a couple of other songs mixed in with it. So as far as still the chorus can still crank, you know what I'm saying? If something is tight and someone wrote it and put it together for the band to play at the game, I think they should still get credit for it,
Right.
Because some of those things are tight, you know what I mean? You don't have to have the full song. The thing that jumped out to me the most, I always hear songs, and Southern always seems to, like, every year consistently has a song that I was like, wow, that's great. No, that's the bomb what they did. But one thing I think that jumped out at me was the trumpet section at Jackson State. and I guess it's not necessarily the best in the stands to actually bring it up, but just how they've kind of made the transition to the full powerhouse loud, but the actual trumpets were missing. It was missing this year, so that kind of hurt. You know what I mean?
Well, Jackson. Overall, they had some bright spots, but I feel like they kind of underwhelmed me this year, except for the Honda, because their shows left a lot to be desired, and I hate saying that about Jackson because they're one of my favorite programs. I really, I remember watching them being, in middle school and high school and stuff. So, I mean, I've always liked Jackson, but they've kind of underwhelmed me this year. I was underwhelmed by them, and I was underwhelmed by Southern, but they still had some good songs. I mean, even in the underwhelming year, you don't want to sleep on either one of those programs,
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, definitely that's what came out at me was like, they've got this huge, powerful sound now, but the trumpets, weren't there.
Yeah.
And then hearing that a lot of it was, self-inflicted, if you will, or a lot of people not taking care of, what they should and just didn't come back. Hopefully we'll repair that next year, but definitely you kids do your homework. Definitely stay in school and fight, because it is exciting to be in the band, but definitely you still got to actually do your work so you can stay and come back the next year so your program can mature. But definitely wanted to at least you guys do well in school. It's the most important. And then right quick before when I bring up trumpet section or Trump Funk, just wanted to give us a small shout out and prayers, maybe to all of the small incidents or murders or killings that may have happened or shootings that may have happened at HBCUs or with HBCU students this year. I believe there was a D'Angelo Grant Brown, I believe is his name. I want to make sure I get his name right. But he was, they put it on my page today, but he is no longer with us. D'Angelo Gant Brown played trumpet. Something happened. I do not know the specifics, but I know that he was too young to pass, and just want to give a shout out to his family and thoughts, the prayers. It actually happens. It happened, I think, at another HBCU this year. Someone was shot or something. But again, I think those stories also happened this year. But we want to pray for those families, especially for those parents where you sending your child to go to college. You know what I mean? And you don't want anything like this to happen. But I want to give him a small shout out that I was thinking about him and prayers and for all the the Boone family and whatnot. Okay. Also, moving along. So we talked about. I want to ask you the best drill. Who do you think had the best drill this year in the 2015 season?
You know what? These categories are killing me, man. These categories, best drill. I'm gonna have to think. You tell me yours, cause these categories are. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say Jackson State. I thought the Jackson State had
I thought that's a no.
I know they just drilled so well, especially at the Honda. They drill well, but the drill they had at Boombox. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Honda, the Honda was good, but for the rest of the season, I'm kind of meh. They're meh at best.
They did okay against, not okay. They did extraordinary well against Southern, I felt like. I think that the Boom drills really, really well. I thought that that's something that kind of shined this year, especially during the time that, they're changing directors and whatnot. I think the new director has been appointed there as well, I believe. I think his brother Sanford, the guy was at A&T, or not A&T, but at Norfolk.
State.
Yeah, Norfolk. So him, I think he's taking over. No, Norfolk. He's taking over there. So that's cool. But yeah, I just thought they were cool. Any one performance or one band that kind of jumps out at you when you think about drill? Because I'm sure the last two, because we got 10 minutes left, but I know how I'm sure I want to hear what these last two awards or what you thought.
I'm gonna abstain from speaking on drill.
So the drill.
There was nothing that really stood out to me as being just the absolute best. Yeah, there was nothing that stood out to me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. But you guys remember Jackson State was the bomb. All right. So moving on to the last two, very, very good. Who had the best halftime show of the year? Christy Walker.
Well, you know what I'm going to say on this. My favorite, without a doubt, was A&T's homecoming show. Yes. Why are you laughing? Why
Well,
you laughing?
It was somewhat of a soft.
You knew I was going to say it.
Well,
you knew I was going to say it.
But I think it was the national consensus, too. That was just a really, 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 really good show. And A&T is
shout out to Aaron Campbell, who I marched with. Shout out to him, who came up with the show design and the whole theme of it. I mean, it was just the best. Y'all gonna say I'm biased because it's my school, but really, that was just a class act, and that's all I have to say. Just watch it. Just look up. Just go on YouTube and look up A&T Homecoming 2015 halftime show. Just Google it or whatever, and you will see that I'm telling the truth. You'll see.
No, you're right, and I think that was the national consensus as well. Unless someone else disagrees with me, definitely let me know through the chat room or Twitter or whatever it is. But I definitely thought that was the best show as well. You brought it up, and I don't even think I watched it that weekend. And I think the next week I watched it. I have another friend, one of the chapter bros out here, Jason Fullman, who we chopped it up with him as well. He went to Kentucky State, and similar to Casey Nesbitt, that marched with me at Jackson State, they finished their undergrad and then they went on to North Carolina A&T, I guess, to finish the engineering degree, or I know it was a dual engineering degree, and people finished there at A&T. So I know two people in that program, and I know he was in it, and I saw it, and I told him, he's like, man, that was an unbelievable show. And then that's what made me watch it, where it's like, okay, there's two people said this was unbelievable. So I believe that was the best show. Maybe in the last couple of years. We always think A&T is going to be the one that actually puts those great halftime shows together, as the Tar Heels would know. But, I mean, yes, I think that it was the best show as well. And I only laughed because it was like basically a softball Christy Walker question, kind of. It's like, you know what I was going to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know. You know what's up. So
that's cool.
I've only been talking about it since the, nonstop since that day.
But that's cool. That is actually a good show. You guys make sure you see the North Carolina A&T homecoming show. Really, really outstanding. So that gives us to the last award, and then again, I ask you this, and then anything else you want to say before we close out. Again, I thank you for your time this year, and I'll be in touch with you as far as chopping it up in that season, this upcoming season. Who had the best overall band, or what band I think jumped out at you, or what band I think I think that they just had a great year, and maybe you don't have to, maybe not give the number one, but a couple of programs that are jumping out in your mind for 2015.
Well, I thought Tennessee State had a good year. I thought Alabama A&M had a good year. I thought Morgan State had a much improved year. It's hard to pinpoint just one. Let's see. There were some schools that kind of underwhelmed me. Talladega underwhelmed me big time.
Yeah, they did.
That battle of the bands between them and Southern, that was just, it was not good. Southern underwhelmed me. Like, they have some good standout songs, but that in comparison to last year, this was a bit of an underwhelming season. I already talked about Jackson. They underwhelmed me as well. Even A&T in some aspects underwhelmed me, and that's very hard for me to say. Of course, we just finished talking about how great that show was, but some schools underwhelmed me, but I thought Alabama A&M had a good year. They were sounding good. They're very musical. I thought they put on good shows. I thought Tennessee State sounded very good this year and did good shows. Let's see. Like I said, Morgan State was strong. Let's see what else. Yeah, those are the ones that. Elizabeth City. I'm always a fan of Elizabeth City. They had a good year. They're definitely representing in the CIAA. Those are the ones that pretty much stood out to me. So I thought overall it was a good year for HBCU bands. And I'm looking forward to hearing what's coming up. Next season. Let's see if some of these schools keep what's going on, or some of these schools get a little bit better. I'm going to be curious to see what happens to Morgan as they get more funding. And, like Bridget was saying in the earlier show, they had a president who's supportive of them. So shout out to them. And, it was a good year.
Well, we definitely agree with the Morgan State. I'm looking forward to them platforming or, augmenting themselves from what we saw this year. And, I think we talked about them. They had a game, I guess it was against Tennessee State, or I can't remember where we saw them, but they looked really good and they sounded good. We were impressed with them. So, that when you say Morgan, that jumped out to me. Alabama A&M jumped out to me as well because, we were talking about Grambling and Southern. I always felt like they were like the little brother to Bama State, especially when we first started doing this show. But ever since then, in these last couple of years, it feels like they've taken the shine from Alabama State, if you will, even with their show. And I feel that, they sound good and they're accurate, and they've done things really, really well to make them scary for next year. So definitely for them. The whole Jackson State thing with the trumpets, that was huge because, again, this transition to so many more baritones and trombones where they're like out, where you're going to have so many horns it's going to outbalance trumpets. And they got way more horns, trombones, and baritones and trumpets. Only thing we're going to be able to do, we're just going to have to get 75 or about 80 trumpets in the funk. So I'm waiting for that. That was something that jumped out. And then hear so many people dogging the trumpet section of Jackson State, like, oh, my God, they're so horrible this year, blah, 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 And then my last band that I like was Florida A&M. I felt that they are the perfect size. So don't add no more people. Don't do nothing. Don't change nothing. Just stay where you at, and then just keep the knuckleheads out. And I definitely think from there I would be excited about FAM. But those were the bands that jumped out to me. So anything else? We got a couple minutes here left before we close out the show. Again, I can't thank you enough for your time and how you've been here this year. So we definitely appreciate that. Anything else, though, before we close out the 90 Degree Show for this season?
Well, I had fun this season. It was fun talking with you and Rashad and Bridget and Ashley, and, it was cool.
Okay, definitely hope that you'll be on board for next year. Definitely be looking for you. And also, too, be looking for you in the off season, probably for any interviews. Be letting you know about, who we talk to, or if you have something to say, I'll, try to run it by you, just to make sure that you're involved in the off season. If that's cool, just let me know.
All right.
But anything else? I guess you said you wrapped it up. Anything else before we sign off for the night, Christy?
Everybody stay safe.
All right. Well, take care. We sure appreciate your time. Again, if you're interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, please contact the show so we can give you the criteria so we can start to pub your business using our platform. We'll play your commercials, show your icon during the broadcast, post your website on our blog, and help send out your information through social media. So contact us so we can help build your business. That's all we have for the actual season of the 90 Degree Show. We thank you, and we'll see you back this fall. That's all the time we have. Check out the website and donate what's in your heart to themarchingpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. And remember, the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lesson by observing what you do. See you next year.
The Monopoly Collect to Win game is back at your neighborhood Albertsons. Play now for your chance to win $1 million cash, a vacation home, and more, including millions of instant prizes and money-saving offers. Look for products with Monopoly Collect to Win game tags throughout the store. Score bonus tickets when you buy participating items and collect game tickets for your chance to win. Shop, play, win at Albertsons today. See game rules at playmonopoly.us. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro and is used with permission.